Board of Education Committee meeting. Today is Tuesday, July the 9th. Mrs. Camphouse, if you would call the roll, please.
Mr. Atwood.
Present.
Ms. Ballard is absent. Mrs. Rarica.
Present.
Mr. Taylor.
Present.
Mrs. Cole.
Present. If you would stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item 3 on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt?
I'll move to adopt.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Mrs. Camphouse?
Mr. Atwood.
Yes.
Mrs. Rarica.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Mrs. Cole.
Yes. All right, with our agenda approved, we can move on. Item 4 is discussion items. We do not have anything on the agenda tonight for this. So we will move on to number 5 on the agenda. This is our personnel superintendent recommendations. So I will turn it over to our superintendent, Mrs. Ronan.
Thank you, Madam President. Under 5.01 resignation, Joanne Richards, our counselor here at Williams Avenue Elementary, is leaving us. So we want to thank her for her many years of service. Under 5.02 employment, item number 1 is Denisha Wade. She is replacing Joanne Richards as the new counselor here at Williams Avenue Elementary. Then also we have both Karen Eads and Dave Wadley retiring and being rehired at the start of next school year in August. We have several individuals who are getting stipends, John Stacy and Michelle. We are not replacing our central registrar, so Michelle will be picking up the pre-K through 5 enrollment, and that's why she's getting an additional stipend for that. The next item, event security. This is a blanket, Norwood Police Department, Hamilton County Sheriff, and local police departments throughout the year when there's events, sporting events, proms, etc. When you need these individuals, you don't have to keep running it through. You've given your approval to hire those individuals as an as-needed basis when we need them for security. The next is tutoring. We run all the employees through because oftentimes a child gets sick. We have to do home instruction during the school year, and this allows any one of our staff members to sign up and do it. And, they're paid on a payroll sheet, but we do a blanket approval because oftentimes it'll be weeks before we can get your approval, and we have to start the tutoring right away. Let's see, OHSAA, tournament positions, the same thing. If we happen to be in the tournament or it's here, that way we can pay employees who do work that event. The next item is our physical therapist. She is under contract she works part-time for Norwood and also Hamilton County ESC. So she works for us 100 days. So we do have to hire her each year. Then we just have a change in status. That's when Angie Barber, she's going to work an extra half hour a day because she's going to pick up our middle school 6th, 7th, and 8th grade enrollment for us. And then there's 2 other employees whose either their hours are changing or they're moving from assistant to varsity cheer coach. Then under pupil activity contracts, believe it or not, we don't have any this evening. But if you recall in June, we must have run 24 together. So, through the board. So we're in pretty good shape for all our coaches being on staff. So actually, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ronan. Continuing on, item 6, this is the Education Committee, and I will turn it over to Mrs. Rarica.
Thank you, Madam President. On the Education Committee, we have a resolution. Other things are popping up on my computer. Recommending recognition for Amber Ballard for the OSBA Star Awards program. And it's a bunch of whereases. Amber's doing a great job, and we're going to nominate her for the Star Award. The R in the Star Award, right? Do you want me to read it, or we should probably just do it at the meeting?
Yeah, maybe at the meeting when she's here.
Yeah.
Would be lovely.
Right? She's not even here. She wouldn't hear this. Amber, you're doing a great job. And that is all I have.
Okay. All right, item 7 on the agenda, this is our policy committee, so I will turn it over to Vice President Taylor.
Thank you, Madam President. We will have our second reading of JFCK, which is a mandated policy from the state to govern the use of cell phones in schools. It's changing the use of cell phones and electronic communications, taking out the word equipment, putting in devices by students. And
And I'll make sure that title has the word cell phone in it before the actual board meeting, because I think we need to have cell phone in it so people can find it.
And so parents are talking about this starting today. They did. And there was someone's concerned about, like, what am I going to do if my kid's phone gets confiscated? And is there anything special about that, or it's the same as it always has been?
I think it's the same as it's always been. We give it back to the student at the end of the day, but repeat offenses, there's times when we ask the parent to come up and pick it up from the office where it's locked up.
And the two nice things that I noticed was that a student can still have a cell phone to monitor and for health reasons, to monitor and something else health reasons, and if it's in their IEP, they can still have it. So
Exactly.
I thought that was good because my kid needs to call me when they're sick.
Yeah,
And
and
they don't go to the office and call the parents anymore.
Exactly. And this came from the model policy put out by the governor's office. So the lawyers looked at it because these days, oftentimes children may have a cell phone to monitor their blood sugar. So you'd have to allow them to use it, or if it was in their IEP. So they made sure that those exceptions were in the new policy.
Cool.
All right, so we will have the second reading of that policy next week at the regular meeting.
And just, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We will make sure that we'll send something home to all the families, letting them know about the new policy. Maybe not the whole policy, but maybe a flyer explaining it and then referring them where they can find the actual policy if they want to read it. Because I do figure we need to alert all of our families that this is happening
Sure.
before the start of the school year.
All right, item 8 on the agenda, this is building and grounds, and Mrs. Rarica will be filling in for Ms. Ballard.
My computer's being slow. There we go. So our first one is, actually, I don't need to click on these. I will just read the little tiny notes. The first one is the Norwood Police would like to use our facilities for their exams. They would also, the second one is use our facilities for the agility test. And the Inner Cincinnati soccer people who do their camp want to do their camp again.
All right, continuing on, we are at item 9. This is Finance Committee, and I will turn it over to our treasurer, Mrs. Campos.
Thank you, Madam President. We are balanced and closed out for the 23-24 fiscal year with no issues. We finished the year receiving 99.35% of the estimated revenues from our May forecast and spending only 99.89% of our budget. We added to our general fund cash balance of over $600,000 as we had a balanced budget and expect one for the following year also. Norwood City Schools takes our fiscal responsibility seriously, and it shows in our financials. 9.01, our financial reports. The monthly financial CFO report and change order listings for your review. 9.02, temporary appropriations. The budget for the upcoming year, fiscal year 25. These numbers will be changing quickly in the next month or so until we have a set budget starting in October. 9.03, certificate of estimated resources. The county auditor spreadsheet that acknowledges fund cash balances, sets estimated revenues, and limits estimated budgets for the upcoming year, fiscal year 25. 9.04, an alternate school food authority arrangement. This agreement gives ODE notice that the Milford schools will be continuing to run our food service program for Norwood students. 9.05, Norwood Ready Kids. MOUs, the memorandum of understandings with entities that will serve our parents and youngest students in the Ready School program. 9.06, Ohio Coalition for Equity and Adequacy of School Funding. With the board's approval, we will rejoin Ohio's Coalition for Equity and Adequacy in order to help further the fight against public-funded school vouchers. Private schools receive public funding with little or no oversight on spending, and none of the mandates that public schools have to follow. In addition, state funding to private schools is higher than public school funding on a per-student basis in most cases. 9.07, special education agreements for 24-25 school year. A contract with Best Point Educational and Behavioral Health for next year. 4 students qualified through IEP. And I did get another contract in today, so there'll be another one on there for Thursday's meeting. 9.08, a donation to Norwood Montessori School. A very nice donation from Emily and Paul Vinson of $1,000 to go to the Norwood Montessori Principals Fund. 9.09, then and now approvals. A few purchase orders that need further approval due to the transition between school years. And that is all for finance.
Thank you, Mrs. Camphouse.
I want to add on the school voucher thing that we're doing this Coalition for Equity and Adequacy of School Funding. We have a family that is switching to Norwood from a public schools or from a private school. So yay! And they told me we're getting $7,500 per student to send them to the private school. And I said, do you know how much Norwood gets? About 2,500. Is that number
I don't think it's
right-ish?
even that high
Yeah, it's
anymore.
like 2,300. I just use 2,500 because it's a round number. But yeah, they get significantly more. That is straight up stealing from us. It's mind-boggling.
And before the last budget, in previous budgets, the difference the public school district was asked to pay back the state.
Right? That was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doubly insane.
It isn't.
And they're saying now, now that they're processing it, everything for year end, that like 94% of the vouchers are going to wealthy families. And
Yeah,
it
the
was
families
intended
are already
to
there.
help poor children. It's not. So,
No, and it doesn't help people in rural districts at all because they don't live close enough to a private school. And it doesn't help. Going to a private school doesn't help. It's not better. It's just
right.
a different choice.
Right. 100%.
Yeah, so the rural people are getting pretty mad about this because it's their tax money too. And it's going to pay for very affluent families to go to private schools, which is sick. It's just sick.
so I'm guessing you're saying yes, let's join.
I read an article recently and I'm really fired up.
All right.
Yes, vote for Alice.
Yay. Well, and I'm really excited. I think I know at least 3 kids that are switching from private schools to Norwood this year, and I know one that already switched last year. So, yay.
Yeah, Norwood's a great place to be.
It is. I agree.
All right. Item 10 on the agenda is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The time is 6:14 and we are adjourned. Thank you.